He's got such a great sense of humor, and he's an incredible storyteller, and like a, a really unrivaled visionary.
Yeah.
So he was just down to have some fun, and I pushed that as far as I could.
Oh, see, and
Thank you for that. Yeah,
but you know, seriously, because how I interpret it, and you may have a different perspective, obviously, but what George was doing for Dave in the sense of Clone Wars and everything that it's now led to, he was doing that for you, but in the sense of humor and what it could how funny Star Wars could be. And obviously the movies are funny within themselves, and that's part of who George is. But like, to see things like Detours, you know, to see things like that clip of George just being silly like that, that seems so far-fetched from what we have now, especially with the culture. And it's something against anyone at Lucasfilm or Disney or whatever, but it's so precious with the brand. It's so precious with the identity of what Star Wars is that
it's got a different obligation, though.
Yes,
it has a different obligation that it ever did. Like, it's not a mom and pop shop now.
No,
it is supported by one of the largest global distributors of intellectual property content on the planet. Right. And that's really what George wanted for Star Wars. He wanted it to be well supported into infinity. And he couldn't really do it himself.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's a global phenomenon. It created trends and cultural concepts. Its ripple effect throughout pop is unquantifiable.
Oh, of course.
But for it to last beyond him, and he was keenly aware of the fact that he won't be around forever.
Mm-hmm.
If it was to last beyond him, it had to be in the hands of a larger apparatus that was capable of putting it in parks, making more content, making shows, creating all of these additional access portals to it.
Right. Well, and that's what Detours was for, what I thought it would be when it was coming out when I was younger. And like, I mean, to have, what was it, 39, 40 scripts, like, or episodes done. Like, I thought, wasn't it like pretty much all in the can and animated and everything?
Yeah.
How does that, like, I don't mean to pry, but does that, for people not having a chance to see that, for people not having a chance to see that, that must be kind of strange for you, right?
It is strange. It's strange, you know, probably in the same way that anybody that worked on the Batgirl movie feels strange about all the time and effort they put into something, all of the emotion that's connected to creating something that doesn't exist, and then not getting the satisfaction of sharing it with an audience. Like, it is a strange thing, but I really, you know, I was so authentically reflective while it was all happening.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Just what a privilege it was to even be in these situations, and to be, even in those moments, partially responsible for even a contribution to the conversation of what is Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, one of my favorite, you talk about what your favorite things is. There was a day where we were settling on artistic interpretations of key characters. And we had a bunch of studies around a character description or dialogue we'd written or that. And it was like a whole room of just all of these printed out images that artists had been rendering for weeks. And George was like, "You want the red pen or the green pen?"
No way. What an amazing question.
And I said, I don't even remember what I took. I think I took the red pen because I was like, I just want to be, I was like, I take the red pen. And then when we walked around, and when I was like, this guy, what about this guy? He was like, he's kind of bland. You don't need so many humans. The whole point of Star Wars universe is that it could be anything. Mm-hmm. So get creative. What is the best visage for your character? What is going to give you consistent comedic opportunities?
Yeah.
It was educational, even at a point when I thought I knew so much. And it was such a privilege to sit at his foot and just hear him drop whatever he felt like saying. And also to create an air of nonchalance about it so that he felt comfortable not being worshipped.
Right. See, and that's where I feel like it must be weird for him, because I know, like you said, you grew up watching this stuff, and to sit across from that man and work with him. Yeah.
As an actor, I have to do that all the time. Like if I'm going to work with heroes of mine or major influences of mine, or even like somebody who's unbelievably impressive to me, I still have to be able to show up and do the job and believe that I'm there on purpose to do exactly what I'm there to do, fearlessly and without any shame.
Oh, that's incredible.
Like it's hard learned, and
I couldn't imagine having to get over that.
Like you have to sit there and not sweat, bullets and everything, and like in front of these people who like you kind of just wrote my childhood. It's fine. Whatever,
Well, it's funny because he doesn't really want that from anybody. Like he just likes telling stories. Yeah, he just likes telling stories, and he would love it if you were like, "Wow, what a great story." But he doesn't need you to tell him like about the important moment. I think that the thing I've seen him receptive to is when somebody says, "Hey, my dad and I really shared this about Star Wars, and it was so meaningful." He's like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, that's his response. No, that's amazing. God, I couldn't imagine how many of those conversations you had with him up until, whenever. I mean, the last time you saw him,
I got to witness a lot of those conversations. It was actually what changed the way that I approached him. And it's because I got to go to those MTV things. So the first two of those MTV things, I was just like, I can't even believe it. And by the second one, I watched him at the second party. I already had my laminate signed enough. I got all this stuff at the first time. So I was like, I just kind of want to be here and witness what's happening. And I watched person after 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 person come up to him. Show the tattoo, talk about that thing, like need to like tell him and get like so close that you could feel him. I was at a distance and you could just feel him like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great. Thank you.
Thanks.
And it really hit me for the first time. I'm like, this guy's famous.
Yeah.
Like famous in the same way that like a musician is famous for everybody's favorite song. And he has to deal with everybody telling him each time they like, made love to that song, or like drove on an open road to that song, or like rescued a puppy and that song was played, like whatever the thing is. Bob Dylan was not like, oh, cool, that's exactly why I wrote it, stranger. So it's like a lot to bear. And I've seen that in musicians my whole career. Like I've witnessed a lot of musicians in person. You see the way that they are forced to kind of make peace with however you interpret their creativity, even beyond their intent. And I saw George in that way, in that moment. I was like, oh man, I've blown it every single time I've had a conversation with him. So when I got to go to the third one, when I got to go to Revenge of the Sith, I got asked by MTV to interview George around the archives. They wanted to walk George around the archives as like a piece of half-hour content. And would I, with Topher Grace, interview George? And I was like, yes, I will. Yes, I will. And I leapt at that. Like I really I was like, I'm an actor and a performer who is familiar with all of these things. And I'm going to approach this hero of mine as a peer and see how that goes. And he was open to it. And he cracked jokes and felt comfortable around me. And we did that tour around the archives and shared a couple of winks in private, even while we were being filmed. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Oh, dude.
And it was like a hack for me. I was like, right, be normal. Just be cool. Like, just be cool. Just be cool. Don't like need to talk to him about any of this stuff. And it created opportunities down the road to ask him those questions in a context that wasn't aggressive or defensive or anything.
Yeah. That's amazing.
This is amazing.
Like,
that's kind of
treating him like a human being.
Yeah. So when anybody talks about like, oh my God, how do you feel that the show, people may never see this show? I have to say, look, man, that just happens. Sometimes that just happens. And I got to have one of the most memorable experiences of my life over several years, and now have a relationship with him, with this company, with this brand. Like that's the trip about it. And I take that responsibility seriously too. It's like I've got a lot of footholds in Star Wars. That
You
feels
do.
incredible.